What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. We got a little bit of a different look today, but it is Wednesday, November 20th, 2024, year of our Lord. Yeah, man, I got on an AD shirt today, and I'm going to tell you why. It's not that I intentionally mentioned or I'm switching things up before the new year, is that I keep a whole lot of clothes here, and I didn't have any more black shirts. The reason why I didn't have any more black shirts is because I wore a black shirt down here today, but it just so happened to get paint all over it. We gonna get there. We gonna get to it. Before I tell y'all a little bit of what's happening in my life on a daily basis, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up to all of my friends and family. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. You guys are the greatest audience on earth. And I want to make sure that I acknowledge the people that are supporting the platform. Shout out to my homies. Baba T says, sent you an article of robots revolting in China. Okay. ESDC on Cash App. Thank you for holding me down. Mike, that dude, shout out to you. I love you. I appreciate you. And Dylan KO says, judge orders prosecutors to destroy Diddy's evidence. Yeah, we're going to go over Diddy today. We got that whole thing. But thank you to everybody that supported me on Cash App. Thank you to everybody that support the show. Your price of admission is to hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. But I would love, if you've been here more than once, you know that this is the greatest Millionaire Morning Show, the greatest morning show on earth, for you to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you know that when we go on live. I think I need to make sure that we push the time back. Right now, we on black people time. And the reason that we on black people time is for a couple reasons. One of them is conducive, and the second one, maybe not so much so. The first one is because it seems like it just kind of matches better with people on the West Coast for me to do it after the 10 o'clock hour or slightly around sometime in the 10 o'clock hour. Because that way the people on the West Coast on Pacific time and the people in Mountain time, they can actually catch it after 7 o'clock, 7 a.m., right? So they getting up. Some people is just at work, and then I can basically get y'all started on y'all day. So it kind of works in that sense. And then the other sense is I'll be running around doing stuff in the morning trying to make sure that I take care of business, right? So, yeah, man, we might need to pull it back just a little bit, just tweak the times a little bit. We're going to take care of that before the new year. And another reason, you said you see me with the pinstripes. Well, let me tell you why I got pinstripes on. But before that, I do that, let me read this super chat. Shout out to J Dub. Says, for the collection plate, I appreciate you, bro. My first super chat of the day is a 50 ball. Ooh, it must be a good day in the neighborhood. Didn't start off so well. I had to go by one of the properties because we got a lot of contractors at different properties. And one of the properties, we have the cleaners coming in and cleaning up after the painters and cleaning up after the construction workers and stuff like that. And so they do different things. And then we have these dumpsters that they dump off. And you guys will hear all about the different things when we do our next Patreon video and our next block club. But we have dumpsters that come out. So dumpster rentals. Maybe I should get into the dumpster rental business. I need to know what the barriers to entry to that is. Anyways, we got these dumpster rentals that come out. And so in order for them not to charge me again, because they're scheduled to pick it up tomorrow, the cleaners were supposed to come and throw all of the different bags and stuff in the dumpster and all of that. And the dumpster is really tall. So I can't trust people sometimes because everybody don't do their job like they're supposed to. So I got my Levi's on. I'm all blacked out. I had my duck boots on. Y'all want to see what my duck boots look like? Let me show y'all what my duck boots look like. So on construction sites, I wear my Levi's, I wear my duck boots, and I go over to the site. I said, listen, forget it, because I'm a working manager. So I don't care if I own it. I don't care what's going on. If stuff need to get done, I'll get my hands dirty if I have to. I prefer not to, but I'll get my hands dirty, whether it's programming, whether it's on a construction site, whether it's content creation. I know how to do everything myself. I'm not waiting on anybody to do anything. So then I got to do all of this stuff. One of the bags had a cut in it. Paint is dripping out of it. I said, oh my God. Either I can go back to the crib and drive all the way back home and do this thing for free, or we could just go straight to the studio and make sure that we get this thing done. So I got a bunch of clothes and shoes and stuff here. So I just decided to go ahead and throw a shirt on. Let me show y'all what they did to my Levi's. Look at this. Look at my Levi's. I couldn't believe it. I'm up there working hard. Now I got paint on my Levi's. Let me show you what my duck boots look like. Look at my duck boots. I couldn't believe it. My duck boots, which is what I use on construction sites because it's waterproof and everything is, you know what I'm saying? It's really good. It's insulated. And so I can bounce around and I can walk all in the mud and the dirt and stuff. Look at my duck boots. Look at the inside of my duck boots. I couldn't believe it. So, long story short, yeah, this is why we got the AD shirt on today. Usually I reserve these shirts for doing Fox News or doing some major network or something like that. But here we are today, and we are here at the Millionaire Morning Show. Yeah, these duck boots. Don't ask me what my duck boots are. Y'all want to know where I get these from? I can show y'all where I get my duck boots from. They're sweet. They're sweet than a mug. Look at the bottom of them. They comfortable. It's dope. It's super dope. So those are the boots that I wear on the construction sites and to take care of business. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Am I working in skinny jeans? Nah. I just work in regular jeans. I got my Levi's. I went back to my core Levi's, not the other ones. Anyways, y'all ready to go ahead and get started with the show? Now, I'm keeping my duck boots. I'm still going to be rocking those on construction sites. Just watched last night's After Hours. Slimmy had me on the floor. Yeah, After Hours was lit last night. So let's go ahead and get started with the show. I got a full show for you guys. First and foremost, make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Great things coming. All things is going to be awesome. We are going to be doing even more in the Patreon. I think that this year was the best year for the Patreon. Next year is going to be even more information. On top of that, make sure you get your Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. If my hands is a little ashy, that's because I was washing paint and stuff off of them all day. And then last but not least, make sure that you guys get your tickets. Come and see me December 14th in Detroit. It's going to be absolutely lit. I love you. I appreciate you. Shout out to Alex, my guy. Alex in the building. Alex says that's how us young guys wear the jeans, ripped up with the paint splatter. Nah, Alex. I'm not doing it like that, big dog. I got to be clean, mean. But I do think that it's a lot of people that's scared to get their hands dirty. People think that running a company or running these companies is you just sit back and you just sit in your office. No, I am a working manager. That's one of the reasons why I hire people is to make my life a little bit easier, to free me up. so I can go and take care of some more business and run that bag up. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the show. I'll be reading super chats throughout the show. I'll be reading cash apps throughout the show. I appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and get into Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we have to bring each and every individual segment to you guys in its own individual thing, but we definitely want to keep y'all in the loop on what's happening throughout these streets. So first things first, couple arrested on a $1 million Lululemon theft. Idiots. Check it out.
A couple is behind bars after allegedly taking part in a $1 million shoplifting spree at Lululemon stores across the country. 44-year-old Jadion Richards and 45-year-old Akwali Laws Richards were arrested in Roseville. Brittany Urban has a deeper look at the allegations.
A duo suspected of shoplifting, swiping $1 million in merchandise from Lululemon stores across the country. Jadion Richards and Akwali Laws Richards, both in their 40s, are from...
Why they lips so black? I don't understand. All right, so I'm assuming it's from smoking because both of their lips look the same. And what I'm wondering before we get into the fact that they out here shoplifting, do smoking, because I know cigarette smokers, their lips be looking regular, they just stink real bad. But if you smoke trees, does it automatically make your lips black? Because I don't smoke. I don't do any kind of drugs. I'm not on no uppers, no lowers, no middles, no none of that. Is it when you smoke trees, do it automatically make your lips black? Because I didn't know that it made your lips black. Is it because you smoke it down to the nub so much? I don't understand, but yeah, they deserve to go to jail. They fit the profile.
From Connecticut, but their shoplifting ring hit at least 7 different Lululemon stores in Minnesota across the metro. This criminal complaint outlining the charges shows the last theft was at the Rosedale Center on November 13th. The next day, investigators connected the suspects to the stealing spree while they were at the Woodbury Lululemon where police arrested them. A search warrant led investigators to 12 suitcases inside a Bloomington hotel room with an estimated $50,000 worth of Lululemon clothing with the tag still attached. Investigators call it a sophisticated scheme to steal items from across the country, then return them in stores on the East Coast to receive the value on a credit or debit card. So, how did they do it? These charging documents allege the duo splits up. One person buys a few inexpensive items at the counter, while the other accomplice grabs items and stuffs them in their clothes. After the security sensors are taken off the legitimately purchased goods, they use a device to remove a sensor from one of the shoplifted items. Then they put that on one of the purchased items.
Y'all said they bleaching their skin too? And they stealing?
The last step, the whole group walks out of the store. When the alarm goes off, the shoplifters keep walking while one of the suspects goes back to the counter. Then the store employee removes the security tag the thieves reattached. The company estimates the financial loss could be close to $1 million.
The couple did not work alone. They had accomplices. Now the court date for those charged is in December. They could face up to 15 years in prison if convicted. I did reach out to Lululemon.
15 years for stealing. And I think that they should do every single day. I can't stand people that steal, is thieving, doing all of the wrong things in society, and then they get away with it and then they get a slap on the wrist. I don't care what company you're stealing from. I don't care who you feel like don't deserve it. Keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands in your pocket and stop stealing. I can't stand a thief. Anyways, continuing on, a sushi restaurant closes after a parasite is found once Keith Lee did a review on them. Bad, bad, bad. Check it out.
The Seattle King County Health Department is investigating claims made in a now viral TikTok post about a piece of sushi. The claim is centered around Fob Sushi, which has 2 locations in Seattle and Bellevue. They're now closed as a result of this TikTok post. KOMO News senior reporter Chris Daniels has been digging into this unusual circumstance. Joins us live in Seattle tonight with more. Chris?
Hi, Preston. Seattle King County Health tells me that it is aware of this video and the specific allegation made in this video that has now been seen 19 million times in a matter of days. The signs only tell half the story. A busy restaurant with an excellent health record suddenly shuttered.
I don't think a lot of people think that FOB handled it the best.
But Tanner Clemens knows it is all because of what happened online.
Hey guys, we see it, we saw it.
It is this, a food review by TikTok influencer Keith Lee.
But this as a sashimi, this high, 8.5 out of 10.
The video, when slowed down by users, appears to show something moving in that sushi, with users speculating it could be a worm. Something Fob Sushi argued initially over the weekend was false, and that the movement observed in the fish may result from natural elasticity or the pressure of the chopsticks. Lee responded,
For the restaurant to post a statement and indicate that me holding the sushi or me holding the chopsticks a certain way is why the sushi moved, I personally don't agree with it. Because I've had sushi 1,000 times and I held sushi 1,000 different ways, and never once have I seen sushi behaving that way.
And that's what led the owners to reverse course on Monday, closing the doors indefinitely at their Seattle and Bellevue spots to investigate and prevent it from happening again. Seattle King County Public Health tells Como News a food inspector attempted to perform an on-site review, but the business was closed, and it will follow up to make sure the restaurant is adhering to relevant food safety measures. Clemens argues the owners should have avoided blaming Lee for the unknown.
But that's one thing they probably shouldn't have done, absolutely.
As the old adage about any publicity being good publicity is now debatable.
Yeah, one way to kill your business is to get 19 million negative views of something that's moving inside of your food. That's absolutely horrible. But that's the society and that's the place that we live in. And so you got to take your L just like everybody else. But I think that they closed so that the food and safety and inspectors couldn't come in there and see what was really going on. That's nasty. Last but not least, a police officer was shot, another one in Chicago, and the woman was killed, I believe, by a knife this time.
Good afternoon. Great to have you with us. I'm Joe Donlin.
And I'm Erica Sargent. Now to more breaking news. An off-duty Chicago police officer shot and a woman stabbed on the northwest side.
Our Darius Johnson is live at the scene in Portage Park with new details.
I'm not a
about what
sushi guy
happened.
myself,
Darius?
personally.
Joe and Erica, good evening to you both. Right now, police have been focusing their investigation at the home
Yeah,
here in the
he did eat that
5600
worm,
block
too.
of Leland Avenue. If you take a look over my shoulder, you can still see that police activity. I can tell you a neighbor told me off camera that he saw a police officer who loves running throughout this neighborhood be put into the back of an ambulance. Take a listen at what we heard over police scanner not too long ago.
She was stabbed. Who might have been shot. Well, it's over with. We got him here. The officer is injured. You know, like, so we get the ambulance here, get the notifications going, the RS5 and all the stuff with the detectives. And if he did put out a plate, put out that plate as soon as possible. Shots were fired by him.
What we know right now is a woman was stabbed and an off-duty Chicago police officer was shot. That woman was taken to Resurrection Hospital in extremely critical condition. She later died. The man, the off-duty officer, was taken to Lutheran General in good condition. What we know right now is that the initial call came in was for a person shot. However, it's still unclear exactly what unfolded or how things unfolded. Several neighbors tell us off camera that they heard 5 to 6 gunshots before hearing police sirens and seeing police lights take over Leland Avenue. At the scene, we also saw a knife with an evidence marker near it. However, in the last hour we've been here, we had a chance to speak with some neighbors who tell us that they know exactly who this officer was, and you can still see back here on the scene what appears to be at least 50 officers on the scene, which also includes the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, who are now investigating this. Of course, once we learn more, we will let you all.
What else is new? It's Chicago. Another police officer, another one. I wonder if this police officer passed away, God forbid, will they let Brandon Johnson come to the funeral? Now, Brandon Johnson coming to a police officer's funeral has been is looked at as the worst of the worst. But we're going to get to Brandon Johnson today. But man, it's unfortunate because we don't show enough love to police officers. We don't show enough love to the boys in blue. But on the regular, we can count on Chicago always having a police officer in the hospital or at a funeral. And that's unfortunate, but that's just the times that we live in. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your Quick Hits. They doing mad construction outside of the building. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats. LaFleur says, you always have a pair of clothes that you don't mind getting dirty, whether you're dealing with paint or dirt. That's true. Also says, a person's lips become black over time when they smoke the joint all the way down to the clip. That's when you know they're addicted. So just smoking don't mean that you're addicted. Smoking it down to the clip is addicted. Duran Lee says, AD, it was this moment I bet you wish you kept those boots, those boot cuts. Nah, I got a whole lot of stuff. I got a whole lot of the same stuff. So like, for example, I got a whole lot of these AD shirts. All look the same, all white, all blue, all pink, all striped. I got a whole lot of Levi's that, you know, not boot cut. Keith Lee was just one part. There's a girl hospitalized with E. coli, fighting for her life right now as well. They tried to sweep it under the rug. Well, be careful what you eat. Be careful what you put inside of your body. And be careful what restaurant that y'all go to. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get started with the show. Let's start at the top. Putin is threatening nuclear war after an attack, and they're blaming the United States of America. But first, let's go to his Russian minister in order to illustrate, and I kind of shared this with you guys on After Hours and yesterday on the Anton Daniels channel, but I want to emphasize this before we get into the next part of the show, all right?
Under these circumstances, I'd like to ask what is Russia's views of this Brazilian-Chinese initiative? It still makes sense for both countries to pursue a initiative in this sense. Thank you.
Well, on the decision of the United States to allow Ukrainian regime to use missiles up to 300 kilometers long, we read what the New York Times published about this. There are still no confirmation either from the White House or from the Pentagon, but we basically take our position on the basis of what is going on physically. And physically, ATACMS, apparently not as long as 300 kilometers, are being used, including this early morning in Russia, against the Bryansk Oblast of Russia, which is bordering Ukraine. And we proceed from the understanding that this is happening, and that any modification of ATACMS cannot be used without American experts and instructors, including satellite data, including programming and targeting. The President mentioned this several times. If long-range missiles are going to be applied from Ukraine into Russian territory, it will also mean that they are operated by American experts, military experts. And we will be taking this as a qualitatively new phase of the Western war against Russia, and we'll react accordingly.
I never thought in my lifetime that, because, you know, this is stuff of myth. Like, this is stuff, even when you read about Hiroshima and Nagasaki and things like that, and the fact that the United States of America dropped a, you know, crazy warhead on these places and stuff in the past, you don't think that it could ever escalate in your lifetime in modern times, that we've gotten to the point to where, you know, we're supposed to be trending towards world peace. You don't think that 2 months before somebody leaves office, they'd be escalating war tensions with another nuclear threat. Now, you got the foreign minister of Russia over here saying that, hey, listen, we not dumb. We haven't even heard anything from y'all. We've been contacting y'all. Y'all been avoiding our phone call. More importantly, we've been watching the elections just like you guys have been watching the elections to try to figure out what our strategy is going to be. And on top of that, we understand your technology. And so your technology is that these things cannot take place or fly into Russia, because not only are you also supplying them with money, not only are you supplying them with resources, not only are you helping them out in order to make sure that they can attack us deep within Russia, which changes the rules of engagement in war, we also know that it takes the level of technology and the programming involved It takes Americans to be able to do that, for them to be able to do this. So y'all are actually helping and participating and making sure that they attack us, which we don't agree with. So now you've escalated tension so much to where we don't have any choice but to basically put every option on the table and think about nuclear war. And because of that, because of what Biden and Kamala Harris is doing in the office 2 months prior to leaving office, this is what's happening worldwide, because the United States of America is not only the one that's on alert. As a matter of fact, I will say this. I don't believe that we're on alert as much as we should be. I don't believe so. You know why? Because when I would look on social media, everybody that was talking about the election and everybody that was whining about the fact that Trump won and Kamala Harris lost is still talking about a 4B movement, reproductive rights, and the fact that they don't want to give men no box no more, and that they only want to scissor kick each other. I'm confused. Why don't we have the same level of enthusiasm? Why do people only get excited and engaged when they have a rock star or a singer on stage telling them this is the way that you should vote, but people are not as involved and engaged when it comes to what is happening every single day on the ground? So that way you ain't got to get ready. You are prepared and you are informed, and you don't have to do your research on who you should or shouldn't vote for when the next presidential election or when the midterms come. But everybody forget about it, and then they depend on me in order to give them the information, and they trying to catch up. Or they just lean on talking points. Or you can see people just saying some wild stuff on Monday nights because nobody cares. They don't even care about what's going on in their local election. And that's why we always going to use Chicago, and then we're going to go to Houston in the new year to make sure and use them as an example of what's wrong in the culture and what's wrong in society and why they don't have to court your vote, because they know that you're going to vote for them at over an 80% clip. And in the case of black women, over a 91% clip. But this is what the rest of the world is saying.
Breaking news out of the war in Ukraine. Fox News can confirm that Ukrainian forces have struck Russia using long-range U.S.-made missiles. President Biden approved their use just days ago. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin is approving a revised nuclear doctrine that lowers the threshold for a nuclear response. Meanwhile, our NATO allies, Finland and Sweden, are now telling citizens to prepare for war. Sweden out with this new video informing residents on how to stockpile food, baby food, medication, and how to seek shelter during a nuclear attack.
Our NATO allies, where we pay the majority of what goes into NATO, is putting out videos to prepare people. And I know, see, again, people don't take stuff serious until it's at their doorstep. Then they're going to be reactive instead of proactive. Our NATO allies are putting out videos on how to prepare and deal with a nuclear fallout just in case they get attacked. Now, here's the question that we have to ask ourselves, because we know that Biden in particular and Kamala Harris is not given a peaceful transition as far as handing over the keys to the White House. We know that. We know that they basically setting the whole White House on fire before they get in there. Trump has no power. You haven't lost any civil liberties. Everybody is just going along with their lives and still getting their cars repossessed. Cool. Here's my question to liberals and people that voted a certain way based off of identity politics. How do you sleep at night knowing that not only is blood on their hands, but to an extent, blood is on your hands, not just American blood, or the potential for blood to be on your hands as a result of escalating war and war threats, but also the blood of people all across the world and voting ignorantly or on DEI or identity politics or reproductive rights. If somebody dies because you chose wrong, do you feel a level of guilt, or do you just sleep well at night and it's just cool? When they put out this information and they say, hey, listen, this is how you prepare for a potential nuclear fallout, and we have all of our allies over there saying, hey, man, we don't want to do this, but Biden is the one that pressed the button. Zelensky is over here more than any other country, probably more than his own country. And then he says, you know what? Go ahead. You got it. You got it. How do people sleep well at night knowing that this is the case?
Sweden also sent out more than 5 million of these pamphlets there on your screen. And Finland posted one on its website, both urging citizens to prepare for the possibility of war and how to prepare for such. Kara, frightening developments. What do you say about this specific response by Finland and Sweden?
Well, I think it's going to further impress upon them the need to really take control of their own security situation.
I want to say this also before we get into this whole Putin and this war thing. Have you noticed that this panel of women is much more intelligent, much better looking, has much more insight, and is greater than what we see on The View? If you just compare and contrast, because I don't even believe in gender wars. I believe in holding people accountable based off of their circumstance and their situation and what they put themselves in. These women are much more intelligent and much better at their jobs and communicating than what you see from the lunch ladies on The View. Just a quick observation.
As we know, the United States has been providing that security blanket for a lot of these NATO countries for so long. This is a wake-up call. You know, you don't want to be alarmist, but whenever Putin says something that references nuclear powers, and those ATACMS, they're U.S. supplied. So I think that is something to consider. So we need to think very seriously, not saying it's World War III, but NATO does need to start taking more responsibility for its own situation. Trump he's articulated that, and so far it looks like, okay, they're going to. So this is probably the first step in that direction in a very tactical way, but just investing in those, the increased percentages of what we really need to have a geopolitical situation that is better for the United States, frankly, and better for Europe. I think they're going to start going there. I don't like this escalation. New National Security Advisor incoming said it best when this is an escalation ladder. We don't know where it leads. I think that's very correct. But I also think that we have an opportunity with Trump and his new team to come in and right the ship. And I believe that we'll do that. We don't want this axis to grow, North Korea, Iran, China. But I think with Trump going to be in office January 20th, we are going to be in a better situation than we actually are right now, God willing.
So, Charles, Kara mentions the escalation ladder. Right. I mean, the top rung is telling your citizens to prepare for nuclear war. And not since the Cold War has that been sort of accepted as practice. And it's been an incredibly long time since that incredibly frightened state of hysteria that the country was in. And that's where Finland and Sweden are now.
That's where they are now. You know, it's sort of Sunday morning quarterbacking, but the Biden administration mishandled this from the beginning, right? I mean, they had over a year of knowledge that the invasion was going to happen. Did absolutely nothing. Nothing to deter Russia. Zero. Then once it happened, they made a series of clumsy moves. Economically, they took Russia off a system that everyone in the world.
I like his business acumen. I like watching him on Fox Business. That no mustache, no beard, loud suit, that's a lot going on there, buddy. And I know that that's his brand. No mustache, no beard, loud suit. It's a lot going on there. A whole lot going on there, but let's not get distracted. That's a wild look right there.
Use this, and a lot of folks say, you know what, I never want the U.S. to take me off it. That, you know, now we have a big counterforce economically that's happening. In the meantime, we gave Russia the weapons they needed too late. And this is a move of desperation right now. This is a move of desperation. And that's when things escalate out of control, when they become desperate. And we're in a dual race right now before this becomes something where America is actively involved in another world war, or somehow some sort of armistice or treaty is met. But right now, it's an equal race, in my opinion, and Trump can't get in there soon enough. Now, here's the good news. Russia, their reserves have gone down dramatically recently. Germany finally said, we won't take your natural gas. How the hell were they buying natural gas from Russia in the first place? So a lot of things are going against Russia right now, but it's escalating. And you mentioned the evil axis, or the new axis of evil. I read somewhere potentially 100,000 North Korean soldiers being involved. So it's got to be nipped in the bud, or it's going to be out of everyone's control soon.
Yeah, this is a disaster. This is almost as disastrous as that style that he got on right now. And again, I actually like him. I think that he's absolutely a great commentator. He's very smart. He's very articulate. Throw a beard on him. Get him a stylist. Get him a mustache. And it won't be so distracting. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes what you wear can distract you from the message that you're trying to convey unless people are watching for an extended period of time. But this is a disaster. This can't be described as anything more than a disaster. I believe that the Biden administration, this 4 years that we see in office today is going to go down in history in hindsight is one of the worst 4 years of our lifetime. People are going to look back, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds are going to say, what the heck was my parents thinking? Once they become adults, once they become our age, once they get 28, 29, 40, 50, they're going to look back and they're going to hold y'all accountable. Not me, because I didn't vote for this administration. They are going to vote and they're going to hold y'all accountable for fumbling the bag and voting this administration into office. And as they should. As they should. Whoever it is 10 through 18, they need to absolutely, positively hold y'all accountable for what's happening in women's bathrooms, sports, nuclear war, immigration, basically throwing away their future and then also plunging us into the darkest times in our history potentially and leaving this incoming administration. Look, we on a course to course correct, right? We trying to course correct. So accept our apologies, next generation. But the people, I can't make no excuses for them. Black people did it. Feminists did it. Angry women that want to be a part of a fictional 4B movement did it. It's a lot of people that need to be held accountable. We absolutely need to be held accountable for what has happened. You said, but Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey told you? We need to be held accountable for what is happening right now. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to continue on with the show. We got a lot to get through today. Dave Burning Miles in the building says Harris signed off on the missiles too. Ain't it? She says she in the office for everything that goes on in there. Mr. Undisputed, what up though? Says 80 black Dems are complaining that Trump didn't add the black people who are not invited to the cookout to his cabinet. This is exhausting. Yeah, I talked about that yesterday. I clipped it up. It should be releasing tomorrow. I got you. What up, Tamale says they just shut down the U.S. Embassy in Key. Oh, Jesus God. Can we take a moment? Because I know that we're doing a show and we're doing this show right now, right? And we all are concerned, and some of us are less concerned than we're supposed to be. But can we just take a moment to pray for the United States of America and the minds of those that we still have in office, that they don't completely throw this whole country in a trash can prior to Trump becoming president of the United States of America and taking office on January 20th. Lord, we come to you. You say where 2 or 3 are gathered in your name. There you are in the midst of us. And we come before you petitioning on behalf of the United States of America and those that don't know any better to intercede, and we plead your blood to come in and make sure that you protect us in the United States of America, protect those worldwide that have no clue that this administration is throwing us into chaos, that we don't go into a nuclear war, and that ultimately we all come out of this surviving, thriving, and better off than we were the day before, because we've made the conscious decision to turn back to you, to turn this country back into your hands and get back to the core beliefs and the values that established this place and then made it great from what it used to be, because it at first was a place of despair and destruction and was built off of slave labor and blood and warring and issues and problems. But you've shown that you can turn a sinful place into a place of beauty once they turn their hands back over to you. And so we come to you and we ask you to place your hands in your covering and your cherubims and your angels over this country as well as over the rest of the world. And do not let these warmongers, demons, and devils take advantage of the ignorance of those that voted for them and then plunge this world and this country into utter chaos that we'll never be able to come back from. We trust you. We believe you. We're going to report on it in order to continue to inform people. But trust and believe, we do not pray and worry, and we understand that everything happens in your time, and let your will be done. In Jesus' name, amen. In Jesus' name, amen. All right? Because when it is out of your hands, at some point, you just got to give it to God. When it's beyond your control, you have to just give it to God at some point. And I am not afraid to ever pray openly, purposefully, and fervently, because I absolutely believe that God is still on the throne. I absolutely believe that where two or three are gathered, there he is in the midst of us. He hears our prayers. He knows his saints. He hears our voice, and he hearkens unto the righteous. I really do believe that. And so sometimes you just got to give it to God, and you got to say, you know what? I know we on the internet. I know we supposed to be being PC. I know we supposed to be playing identity politics. I know that we supposed to just respect everybody's choices. Nah, dog. In the time of emergency, before emergencies hit, sometimes you got to be proactive in your prayers in order to save people from themselves. And I truly believe that the saints are the ones that's holding up this country. I truly believe that the saints are the ones that's holding up this country. I don't think for 1 second that y'all think that y'all got as much choice as y'all think that y'all do. God allows for things to happen, but the saints and the prayers of the saints are the ones that's truly holding up this country. Say whatever you want to say. Label it however you want to label it. We can't put Anton on TV because he be praying to God. Nah, listen, I proclaim everything, and I acknowledge that Jesus is king. Real talk. We don't hide how we feel. And so if you don't like prayer, then go ahead and hang out with the demons. NATO now needs to kiss the ring. Shout out to Chris Cunningham. MC, shout out to MC $, says, Americans are asleep at the wheel, but not the saints. Not the saints. Wealth Building Journey says, does anyone else see the irony in the Dems calling Trump a sore loser? I don't see Dems winning again for at least 4 more presidential cycles. Well, let's hope that they never get into office again. Joey Joe got bored and done had a temper tantrum. We about to talk about Joe Biden. He looked like the rubber grip part on the Big Pen. Talking about the guy in the last segment. Is this why Biden had that Kool-Aid smile when he met Trump? I don't know. 404 Don Drigo says, have you seen that Sonny Holston was forced to read a legal note live on stage? I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to react to it today. I did know about that. Anton, that's a great fit, my guy. We like the look. Y'all want me to stay dressing like this for the Millionaire Morning Show? I like the black tees. Anton, Chris Parks, I appreciate you. Thank you for holding me down. Amari, what up, Jerry? Jerry says, yet people really voted for Kamala like she would have been a better choice. I'm sure she was right in that room when Biden signed. Effie says, I got your back with the super sticker. Thank you, Effie. God, please bless and protect the United States of America, says Jerry. Ashley in the building says, thank you, Jesus. Amen, Anton. God bless you. God bless you, too. Cuddy says, Trump will fix it. God has us. I'm extremely grateful for your channel. Going to take the next step because of you. God bless you, big dog. Shout out to you, Cuddy. And shout out to the people that's taking the next step. Says, yes, sir. Hashtag kingdom. Levi Apparel says, Anton, sir, God bless America. Wealth Building Journey goes on to say, the prayers of the righteous availeth much. James 5:16, may his will be done. Shout out to everybody that's holding us down on Cash App, Super Chats, and supporting the platform. I really, really do appreciate y'all. Y'all ready to get back into the show? Y'all want to know what Biden was doing when this whole thing, once they signed and hit the button? Let me share with y'all what Biden was doing. Y'all not going to believe it. Y'all think that Biden is just over there in the war room trying to figure it out. I'm going to show you what, at the G20 summit, Biden is doing. He wandered off into the jungle. You think I'm lying? Oh, you think we playing? You think we lying? No, seriously. Biden wandered off into the Amazon. He wandered off into the jungle. They was looking for him. Oh, you think it's a game? All right. All right. Don't say I didn't tell you. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. If you're not a part of the Patreon, the Bag Chasers, we got Block Club coming up. It's going to be awesome. And we got an exclusive video that's dropping for y'all. Make sure you get your tickets to December 14th. Let's talk about it. They didn't show y'all this, did they? I'm going to show it to you.
The Amazon is the lungs of the world. But in my view, our forests and national wonders are the heart and soul of the world. They unite us. They inspire us. They make us proud of our countries and heritage. A bridge to the past and to our future. A birthright we pass down from generation to generation. The Amazon rainforest was built up over 50 million years. 50 million years. History is literally watching us now. So let's preserve this secret place for our time and forever, for the benefit of all humanity. Thank you very, very much.
Where's he going? Where is he going? What is he doing and where is he going? Why is he wandering off into the jungle? Now, I'm going to give you the God, you see it. You see it. Hey, you know how, have y'all ever dealt with people and, because I'm going to give you the context behind this. Have y'all ever dealt with people in your life and you couldn't do nothing but pray for them, but you didn't even really pray for them. You just start proclaiming the blood or something like that. And you say, ooh, Lord, you see it. You see it. Only you know. Only you know. Let him have his way. Hallelujah. Let him have his way, Lord. This is one of those situations where it's just like, oh man, we got 2 months left. We got 2 months left. We can get there. And you just start counting down your calendar. You only really count down your calendar in certain situations. You count down your calendar to find out when you're about to get married. You count down your calendar when you're about to get a new car, close on a new house. You count down your calendar on the first day that you start a new job. And you counting down your calendar on the day that you can get out of that negative situation that you know is coming. My lease is about to be up. This is how I feel about the Biden administration right now. We're counting down the days, hoping that we don't find ourselves in an unforgivable war and nuclear escalation with Russia. But how did Joe Biden end up wandering the Amazon in the first place? Well, he missed his photo op in a G20 photo with the rest of the world leaders, and they were looking for him. And they wound up taking a photo without him. I'm not sure if there's a president in my lifetime, in my history, that ever missed a photo op with the rest of the world leaders and everybody was looking for him. Oh, you don't believe me?
Joe Biden attended the G20 summit in Brazil as one of his final appearances on the world stage before departing the White House in 2 months. But instead of commanding the spotlight as the leader of the mighty and powerful United States, Joe Biden was largely ignored by fellow world leaders and even mocked by the press. This was most clearly seen during the group photo where Joe Biden was MIA, but the leaders didn't bother waiting for him to show up, leading to a shocked press pack.
Your friend, where was he? They're telling Biden, they're telling him to wait for Biden, guys. Oh my God. Do you see him, Joe? Far left. Left to the left of the palm tree. Oh my God. But they took it. Yep. He's right there. Joe, he's behind the palm tree right now.
I don't see Dog, if this, you cannot make this up. You can't make this up. There's no way in the world that he hit the button over there and told Ukraine to attack Russia. And then he's over there wandering off in the Amazon in the palm trees while the rest of the G20 summit and the leaders is over there taking photos and China is standing front and center in order to... The reporter, this is real life. This is not me making this up. The reporters are freaking out because Joe Biden is wandering around. Nobody can wrangle him in while the rest of the G20 leaders is taking a photo op. He's confused and he's wandering around in the Amazon.
The internet exploded with this commentator highlighting China's President Xi Jinping front and center of the photo. He said, "Pretty clear which superpower leader thinks he is bossing the G20 and no Biden in sight."
I even see Mexico's president, the woman. I seen the woman in there. You see her? She's in the upper left-hand corner. You see Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum. China front and center. No Biden in sight. Not a Biden in sight. He's over in the palm trees. He's over in the palm trees. This is y'all president.
Leader thinks he's bossing the G20 and no Biden in sight. And it wasn't only world leaders throwing shade at Biden. The world's media mocked him too. This commentator said, "Foreign media mocks Biden as they film him totally stranded and lost at G20. Everyone walked off on him." And the disrespect continued when photographers tried to get the leaders back to retake the photo to include Joe Biden. But no one listened and simply walked off. This
Was Trump right or was he right? Was Trump right or was Trump right? That nobody in the world, Trump called it and he said it. He's been saying it for years now. His voice was amplified during his presidential election, and Trump said it. He said, nobody respects Biden in the world. No world leader respects him. They look at him as a lame duck, as food. Trump been saying this. And then they tried to get all of the world leaders to come back and take another photo, and they was like, nah, we're not going to do that. What a historic moment. And then they had the nerve at the Democratic National Convention to sit there and say that, Joe Biden, thank you, Joe. You're the greatest leader of all time. And I can understand if the world don't respect us nowadays, because we sitting there and they watching our elections, because it's worldwide news now. They watching our elections and they realizing that we care more about whether or not a woman can eliminate a baby and open up her legs versus whether we got strong borders and strong immigration policies, and the world is finessing us. Upside down on a trade deficit with every country in the entire world. NATO taking advantage of us. Immigrants walking in here. They emptying their jails and sending them right here in the United States of America, and they're not even willing to take another picture with this dude. They said, this dude ain't even... Is he here? Where's Joe? He in the palm trees? He in the Amazon? Jesus Christ.
This commentator said the G20 took their photo without Joe Biden. When they finished and tried to get the leaders back in place and wait for Joe, they still all walked off the stage. The reporters were shocked. The Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration never got any respect for 4 years. And after missing the photo, Joe Biden was still seen wandering around, seemingly very confused and eventually abandoned by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And to add insult to injury, earlier in the summit, Joe Biden had an awkward encounter with a native in the Amazon.
Thank you. Thank you. Heard a lot about you. You speak more languages than I've heard.
He then bizarrely disappeared into the jungle, refusing to answer questions from the press about his recent bombshell Ukraine announcement that has many people worried about an escalation in the war against Russia.
Last week, Donald Trump.
We can't get this guy out of office soon enough. I will be absolutely glad and elated when we can put an end to this 4 years that we've been into. If we could get the click button that Adam Sandler had on his show, that would be absolutely awesome. Shout out to Joe Biden, man. Shout out to Joe. Y'all was actually advocating for me. Y'all said that Joe and Kamala Harris had it together. Good God. Lord, you heard our prayers. Let him have his way. Let him have his way. Magnetar says, what in the Jumanji Joe is this? I don't know what he was doing out there. He was over there looking like a fool. Minnesota County Unsolved Crime Channel says Joe looks like a drunk Indiana Jones. Jay Hunter Lee says, welcome to the jungle, Guns N' Roses. Shout out to my dog, Jay Hunter Lee. I appreciate you, big dog. Jerry says, I'm blaming Jill Biden because why did you let your husband embarrass himself like that? I don't even think Jill was there. He was voted off the island like Survivor. Sleepy Joe pulled a weekend at Bernie's on him. Eric Welf Harris says Putin about to blow everybody up and this N-word is in the forest making campfires. And Nairobi says, what up, Anton? I love the show. What stock should I consider investing into today? Just building my portfolio. Would love your thoughts. You got to jump in the stock club. I did a whole 1 hour plus live stream in Stock Club. It is up right now. It is the most recent video of exactly what you should be investing your money into. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. It is a phenomenal vehicle for y'all to build wealth. Kadash says Biden really needs one of those book bags with the least least tether at this point. He's going to get lost for real, for real. Jamari says, Jill, please come get your man. It is bad out here. Shout out to Levi Apparel. Levi Apparel says, so they want Harris president so bad. He's back to behaving like this mental illness issue again so she can be the next temporary president. That's messed up. I believe that they're trying to get her in there. They're trying to get her in there. But anyways, again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. Let's bring it back to Chicago. Now, you guys know that I've been making sure that we stay on top of things in Chicago, bringing them to the front of the congregation, ensuring that we hold them accountable. What is Brandon Johnson doing? I almost believe that there's this spirit of negligence on people that decide to run as a part of the Democratic Party. It's like a spirit of rebellion and negligence, arrogance, dementia, and bad haircuts. I give you Exhibit A. Look no further than Brandon Johnson. Now, they rejected his property tax hike just a few days ago, late last week. So then they go back to the front of the congregation and they said, you know what? Let's build another budget that also includes property tax hikes. We just going to have a little less of them, but we definitely still want to raise y'all property taxes as though y'all not paying an egregious amount of money in property taxes in Chicago like it is. You don't believe me? Check it out.
Mayor Johnson has come back with a new plan to balance the city budget after his other proposal for a $300 million property tax hike got rejected.
Political reporter Paris Schutz says this one may not fare much better.
The mayor had no choice but to scrap that original plan, and he announced today that he has whittled the property tax increase down to $150 million. But is it enough to win over skeptical older people? The mayor says the latest proposal is the product of weekend negotiations with older people after his original plan fell flat.
I believe that the mistake would be if we didn't have a collaborative approach that allowed for multiple voices to weigh in. I mean, so you don't just have city council members weighing in. You have folks in labor, folks in business. Now you have individuals at other levels of government. That is how open this process has been.
Instead of $300 million in new property taxes, the mayor wants a $128 million hike in the personal property replacement tax on cloud computing, essentially a business tax. Also, a $10 million tax hike on streaming services like Netflix, which
they want a $128 million tax on cloud computing leasing. They also want a $10 million tax on streaming services. And then again, another $150 million in property taxes. Now, they're not speaking on efficiency because, again, I think that the first thing that they should do, if I'm advising them, the first thing that I'm going to tell them to do is they need to hire an outside consulting agency or person to come in and streamline what is happening in the government because obviously they are too bloated and they cannot sustain nor support what they've been doing over the last few years. So you can't keep taxing people to death. You can't keep taxing streaming services. You can't keep taxing. You can't just raise taxes. It's not a tax. You can't do that. You have to pare down what you do in order to be able to run as lean as possible to make sure that you're not overly taxing the people when you incentivize businesses to come in and want to participate in your city. That is how you get them there. You cannot get them there by saying, well, we're going to tax you, and we're going to tax you, and we're going to tax you. Oh, and the residents, we got a little tax for you too. This is all dumb. You need lower taxes, not more taxes.
Leaves a property tax hike of $150 million. But the new plan does not seem to be winning over many city council members.
So I don't know what planet you live on where you have a budget like this and you can't make cuts, you can't find deficiencies that we do every year, and you can't run government by just increasing revenue, increasing property tax.
I agree 100%. This is the first person that I've seen that's in Chicago as a alder person that is making sense.
Taxes on people and wishing the rest away.
32nd Ward Alderman Scott Waguespack says the mayor hasn't been inclusive of everyone's ideas. Johnson today dismissed complaints like that.
Some individuals are having tantrums right now. It's time to grow up.
Color recent critic, the 40th Ward's Andre Vasquez, unimpressed.
If you're the collaborator-in-chief, you don't tell people they're having tantrums when they're raising up questions. You don't say they need to grow up. Nothing about that feels collaborative, does it?
The mayor acknowledged the plan is likely still a work in progress, as some colleagues hope to eliminate the need for a property tax hike altogether.
As long as we have an open line of communication, I think we have a responsibility to get to an agreement.
You have a bunch of grown folks that's in office that used to be school teachers, community activists, and diversity, equity, and inclusion hires trying to manage a multi-billion-dollar budget while the police is reeling, dying. They have a shortage of police officers, shortage of firefighters. The city is crime-ridden. Meanwhile, Brandon Johnson with his mohawk was out there protesting for defund the police. Let me see if we can find Brandon Johnson in the earlier days. I need to see what he looked like without the mohawk. Brandon Johnson. Is there a picture that's available for Brandon Johnson without the mohawk? There we go. This is when he had a wet set. He told his wife, he said, listen, I'm going to color that off. I'm going to round off the top, and we're going to do a mohawk. We're going to round off the top, and we're going to do a mohawk. Let me see if I can find an earlier version of Brandon Johnson. I see a couple of them. They're a little dusty. Nothing worth mentioning. Got a nice little wet set. Oh, here we go. There we go. That's y'all mayor. This the person that y'all said, you know what? He gonna be the future leader of Chicago. He's gonna be the person that leads us to the promised land. And then ultimately, he's going to make sure that we make Chicago great again. This is the person that y'all anointed the savior of Chicago to come after. To come after Lori Lightfoot. Oh man. He did need that Tiege pack, but he wasn't done crashing out just with the budget that they can't fix. He also said, you know what? I see your budget. I am going to increase your property taxes, and you will address my wife accordingly. Check this out.
Chicagoans are very alarmed that at a time when Chicago is clearly fighting for its financial survival, that you're out of state campaigning for Kamala Harris. You are defending Little Dirk. This is your priority. You and your wife Stacy have a 200-plus CPD police security detail when real Chicagoans are obviously afraid and victims of violent crime. And of course,
did he say 200 plus?
200 plus CPD, police security detail when
Brandon Johnson and his wife has a 200-plus Chicago police officer security detail. Is that the budget for the security detail for Brandon Johnson? What? That can't be true. That cannot be true. No way, no how. No way that the mayor of Chicago has a 200-plus Chicago police security detail. No freaking way.
real Chicagoans are obviously afraid and victims of violent crime. And of course, they feel that you are taxing them into financial slavery to pay for migrants. The exact amount of this tax increase that you're proposing is, I think, to the penny, what you've already given to one of the migrant vendors. The migrant vendor named Favorite Healthcare Staffing, not to mention all the other migrant vendors. Wouldn't it make more sense for your tax increase to simply be called a migrant tax on Chicagoans?
Well, if you could just do me a favor, the next time you refer to my wife, refer to her as the First Lady. I prefer that you not remain so familiar with her that way.
Right.
Okay.
The First Lady, and you
All
have
right,
a security detail of
I got you.
200
Thank
plus.
Of all of that he just said, of everything that he just mentioned to Chicago's Brandon Johnson, the thing that Brandon Johnson says is, if you could refer to my wife as the First Lady, he must be the king of Zamunda. Jaffe Joffer. Coming to America was about Brandon Johnson. Gotta be the king of Zamunda. Of all of the things that this guy can say, he's sitting here standing on business when it comes to making sure that they call his chick, or I'm sorry, not his chick, when they call the First Lady, the First Lady.
I've heard your question. Just
Right.
saying thank you for respecting my wife that way.
Right.
As far as the detail is concerned, there are 4 mayors. The detail operation reflects all of the mayors, past and present. The particular portion of my detail is not the size in which you've described. I believe it's less than 30 or so. That there are shifts that are ran, and like every other mayor. That detail is appropriated according to, again, what every other mayor has had. As far as what this budget is about investing in people. And what's clear in this budget is that we are investing in youth and workforce. And at a time in which, unfortunately, there has been a great deal of real mean-spirited attacks against young black and brown children.
You gave the same amount of money over to migrants that you are proposing as a property tax increase. And why are you not addressing that? Only thing I care about is for these people to be brought down and be brought to the front of the congregation. Honestly, the way that they are finessing taxpayers, they need to go to jail. Somebody in the Justice Department need to figure out who is owner of Favorite Healthcare Staffing. Where is the kickbacks coming? Why are they to the penny funding a migrant crisis that nobody in Chicago wanted, but yet y'all still voted blue? And they're raising your property taxes. I told y'all, I warned y'all, I said, don't y'all realize that y'all are the ones that's gonna pay for this? Y'all said, no, Anton, they gonna come back and they gonna tax the rich. They gonna take more from people that make over $400,000 a year, and they the ones that's gonna pay for the migrant crisis. And I said, the rich people are the ones that's going to take your property after Chicago get done in Crook County. They're going to re-gentrify everything. That's what rich people gonna do. They gonna come and get your property. It's gonna be regular, everyday people that have to pay this tax. And in order to even stream Netflix, you're gonna be paying out your eyeballs. Everyday regular citizens are going to get their homes taken, and you are going to be taxed more. I said it word for word. You said, nah, Anton, nope, this migrant crisis ain't going to hit us the way that you think that it is. And down to the penny, that is the amount that they are raising your property taxes. But you deserve this because you voted them in.
When you say mean-spirited attacks against young black youth,
yeah, so
are you talking about the carjackers or the armed robbers? What I mean, or are you just talking about every young black child in the city of Chicago? I'm not sure what you're referring to.
You're not?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, there's black and brown children in this city who I'm going to invest in,
and
that's who I'm
they're
referring
dying
to.
in larger. They're being shot and murdered. I'm sorry. And
thank you for your question.
Why aren't you worried about their safety?
Thank you for your question.
Have you? Are you enjoying your raise? Any chance of giving us a comment?
Who is this reporter? Who is this reporter? I like this guy.
Mr. Kelly, please.
What?
Please.
Why?
Mr. Kelly.
Well, it seems like there's a real pattern in the Johnson administration of members of his administration making outrageous comments like your "fuck the pigs" comment.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Please give her a moment. She's not.
Give her a moment. You know, there are police officers who are committing suicide. They're not, and we have a lot of police officers that are quitting.
I gotta go and find reporter William J. Kelly. Who is reporter William J. Kelly? He is on it. He is on it. And yet y'all still protect these same people that's a part of the administration. Look, if that was a white person that had said that nonsense that's a part of Mayor Johnson's administration, she would have been fired immediately. If it was any person other than the black people, don't tell me that black people don't have privilege. Don't tell me. Don't you lie to me and tell me that black people can't be racist or they don't have privilege. I'm not going for it. Let me go ahead and read some more of these super chats. Jeff says, I got a super sticker. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you holding me down. Refrigeration Devil, that's a heck of a name. Says, anyway, the stock club can be longer? What do you mean? Y'all want it to be longer than that? I try to keep it around an hour every time that I stream Stock Club because it's a lot of information. And so there's multiple different stock clubs for y'all to go through that we deep dive into certain industries, what you should look for, what's happening currently at that particular time, which terms you should be learning, so on and so forth. But if you make it any longer than that, a lot of times what happens is people don't take in and keep the information the way that they're supposed to. You see what I'm saying? So I'm very mindful of how people learn, the best way to learn, and how we should break that up. You see what I'm saying? Let's see what we got going on here. Nairobi says, it's a judgment of God for turning away from him. He says, women and children will be your leaders. Children meaning immature, competent leaders. BZE says, they never heard of the Boston Tea Party? Minnesota says Brandon Johnson looking like Whoopi Goldberg, brother. Casual Germ, what up, Casual Germ? Says, let's round off the top, make it a mohawk, and they will call you Mayor Mohawk. That actually sounds like a decent comic book character. Crazy. Democrats Entitlement says, Chris Cunningham, appreciate your views and filling me in on the latest news. You are the only news that I watch now. Give me a round of applause for the people that realize that we are the greatest morning show on the face of the earth. Shout out to Will. Rashawn Irving says, that man said, put some respect on my wife's name. Nothing wrong with that, but he didn't answer any of the other questions. I introduced you, Mayor Golf-Ass Buford. Shout out to Empire Foundation. I appreciate y'all. I will continue to acknowledge y'all, but we got to continue on with the show. So, see it in, because we will not let this migrant crisis thing done. When it was not popular to talk about the migrant crisis, Anton over at AntonDaniels.com over here at the Millionaire Morning Show, we covered it. When everybody was ignoring the fact that Kamala Harris was the border czar prior to the election season coming up, Anton on AntonDaniels.com was covering it. We were covering everything that was happening inside of the White House. We was covering what was happening at the border, El Paso. I even almost flew to El Paso just to see it on the ground myself. But my security said, Well, guess what? CNN pulled up, and they just so happened to see all of these migrants climbing fences. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. This is what happened.
Tonight, new video just in, filmed at the southern border of migrants climbing that border fence just moments ago, trying to get into the U.S., and they only stopped when they saw our crew there filming them doing it. Border agents telling our David Culver, who's right there, and it's his team that noticed the men trying to climb over the wall. They told them that Mexican cartels right now are urging migrants to rush into the United States before Trump takes office. This comes as Trump insists he will begin mass deportations and vows he'll use the military to do that. Let's just show you a checkpoint about 30 miles from the border in Arizona. This was empty in June, and now it is fully staffed and active. I want to go straight to David Culver, who just witnessed all of this, those migrants trying to scale that wall, and has been reporting from the border for days now, and of course, over and over again over these past months and years. Joining me now from Nogales. So, David, you just filmed that video. What happened?
I was muted. I'm sorry. What I was saying was, what's stopping us from putting a couple of electric wires at the top of the fence? It's probably a reason that I was muted, because I was asking a question that probably shouldn't be answered. What's stopping us from putting a few electric wires at the top of the fence? That's all I'm saying. I'm muted because they got all of this feedback in the background because they're working on stuff outside. They got a bunch of construction crews here, and it's aggravating me. But my point is, what is stopping them from throwing a couple gators inside of the ponds that they keep crossing over? What's stopping them from doing all of this stuff? Because, look, man, the fence is supposed to be a deterrent. It's not supposed to be able to stop you. But we also need some stuff that's being able to stop these people. They going to Home Depots, they getting ladders, they getting their climbing skills up. They got the cartel that's encouraging them to hurry up and cross over into the United States of America before Trump wound up becoming or coming into office. I don't understand.
That caught us off guard. I mean, we were preparing to come live and talk to you here, and this is about 10, 15 minutes ago. A very high part of the border wall as well that they just came over, or at least tried to come over. They were scaling, and as soon as they noticed that we were recording, they went back down and put on their hoods and continued along their way. What's interesting about that, Aaron, though, is if you compare it to, say, 6 months ago, when folks were desperate to get over, didn't care if people were seeing them, didn't care if they were caught. In fact, they would try to get flagging down some of the Border Patrol agents, and even sometimes us, to say, hey, can we get a ride? We want to be processed. Then in June, President Biden's executive action came into play, and that limited the number of people who were going to be allowed into the U.S. We're now hearing more and more deportations going back over the border into Mexico. But I want to revisit, though, that checkpoint that you mentioned, because this all ties together. You're having people who are coming over, who are trying to do so.
Y'all gonna say it's inhumane? No, it's inhumane for you to cross over to somebody somewhere in somebody's territory illegally. It's inhumane. I believe in deterrence.
Detected, and they make their way into the U.S. But what happens, as you mentioned, that checkpoint, that's 30 miles inland. And when we were here in June, Border Patrol said they didn't have enough resources to have agents at those checkpoints. Now you're driving northbound and you're waiting 10 to 15 minutes. You then come through, it is fully staffed. You've got canines there. You've got them looking at every single person in the car. They wanted to make eye contact, and then they let us continue on. Some people were also then pulled aside for secondary search. It is far more thorough than we've seen before. But Aaron, the point the Border Patrol agents are telling me is they didn't have the bandwidth to do that before. As one agent has been telling me, he has felt like a federal babysitter and having to drive migrants from the border to processing centers. Now they say they have enough agents to be able to do these checkpoints.
So where did all of these mysterious agents all of a sudden come from, and why didn't they have them before? Why didn't they have them before? Why did they say that they needed a bipartisan agreement to get more border agents out there? Y'all remember that? the main talking point from Kamala Harris during the 2023 running for election. I thought we had a bipartisan agreement in late 2023, early 2024 of getting more border agents out there, and Trump called and he killed the border bill. Why we all of a sudden got enough agents, but we didn't have enough agents before? Just wondering.
And they're at several locations. We've passed 3 in the past couple of days, and they are fully operational for now.
Fully operational. And interesting, those migrants that you just saw that, before it'd be like, hey, flag you down. We're glad you saw us. Give us a ride. Exactly. And now there's a fear of their identity, and they jumped off and, well, presumably, who knows, they try to cross somewhere else, but ran away from your cameras. Hey, look, you've been down there just on this particular trip, David, for days. And, you've been talking about how Mexican cartels, drug cartels have been, increasing their prices, telling migrants, if you don't get into the United States right now, it's not going to happen. So what more can you tell us about that?
I mean, it's like advertising a store sale, a limited time only. This is what you need to do in order to get into the U.S. That's what cartels are pushing. And we know that from local law enforcement. We know that from ranchers who live on the border, and that they're, of course, seeing some of the folks who come over and who end up getting caught. And we're knowing that the prices are now going up significantly. So one local sheriff says you're now looking at a minimum, on average, $7,500 a person that these cartels are charging folks. That will then go upwards into $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And what you're hearing from the other side of the border, we've got contacts on the Mexican side at shelters, and they're saying the migrants are now starting to say, this is a lot of money. We don't know if we have that to go forward with.
So they taxing people because they know that Sleepy Joe is weak and that Trump is coming into office, and they're going to have to do something differently. Meanwhile, over in California, this is how they're protecting. And Los Angeles has recently passed a sanctuary city vote or law as activists in favor of migrants is advocating on their behalf. This is what California and Los Angeles is doing.
Los Angeles unanimously passed a sanctuary city ordinance on Tuesday, which would protect immigrants living there.
Without objection, it is passed.
The policy would prohibit the use of city resources and personnel to carry out federal immigration enforcement.
Los Angeles is not going to let that happen.
The move comes on the heels of the election victory of President-elect Donald Trump. He campaigned on a vow to carry out mass deportations of immigrants.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate.
LA City Council members said Tuesday that the city is home to 1.3 million immigrants, though they did not say how many had entered legally. And now the second most populated city in the U.S. after New York City has codified the protection of migrants into law.
And we know that women should be able to report domestic violence and seek justice. Kids should be able to go to school, and families should be able to go to public libraries without the fear that doing so would tear their families apart. So by passing this law today, we are making sure that we are keeping our friends, family, neighbors, and coworkers safe.
Pro-immigrant protesters rallied on the steps of City Hall ahead of the vote. Shu Ming Cheer of the California Immigrant Policy Center was one of them.
Look at these people. Look at these people. They come over here illegally, and then they advocate on behalf of people that's not even supposed to be here. They become so dependent on, and this is why you got to nip it in the bud and make sure that you create an environment that's conducive for people that actually get over here legally. And that they've gotten so gung-ho and so matter of fact with what they're doing that they now feel comfortable telling you not to enforce laws that's on the book that was supposed to prevent this from happening in the first place. So California has basically committed treason against the United States of America, its citizens and its taxpayers.
We are extremely concerned, given that this is a city where about a third of the population is immigrants. We are all extremely concerned.
But are you a legal immigrant? That's the question.
Worried, panicked, afraid that the National Guard or other people are going to be forced to execute Trump's mass deportation plans. But we're also organized. We've been through this before. We know how to respond. We have a lot of tools at our disposal, including the legal system, including the strength in our communities. So we also know that we can fight back with power.
The nonprofit Immigrant Legal Resource Center says that 11 states have taken some steps to reduce cooperation with federal law enforcement.
So I think that the solution here is to now defund these cities altogether. You remember when they was protesting and saying defund the police? Okay, well, defund the cities. Fend for yourselves. Determine how you want to play it yourself. No longer should federal funding be going to places that go against federal law. If you cannot abide by federal law, meaning laws that are on the books, I don't believe that we should continue to fund them as a federal government and put money into these cities. Because then we're taking taxpayers from everyone. Now remember, we all voted for an administration to come up there and get things in order as far as making sure that we're not funding things that we don't want to be a part of. The people and the popular vote and the swing states, we painted the country red. We said, this is what we want to do. This is what we want our tax dollars to go to, and we're looking for an administration to stand up and do that. We're not looking for bipartisan agreement anymore. We're looking to implement our vision and our views on what America is supposed to be. Now, if these states and these cities decide that they don't want to continue to participate in what we as the people, because remember, we was told that we had to listen to you walking in the women's bathroom and pull your Johnson out and pee in front of our wives and our daughters. Remember when it's y'all? No, this is the law now. Oh, okay. All right. If you don't say this, then you're going to get fired. What? I'm going to lose my job if I don't acknowledge you as a she, them, hey, her, whatever in your pronouns? If you don't take the jab, then you're going to be fired from your job. Remember that? Y'all put stuff on people that they wasn't listening to and they didn't want, but you forced it on them, and some people acquiesced over because they thought that they was going to lose their jobs or whatever, so on and so forth. Now, if you decided that you wanted to take the jab because that's what you felt like was best for your family, then that's one situation. But if you felt like you were bullied into it because of the mandates by the administration that was in office at the time, then it's a completely different conversation. So now on a mass level, places like Chicago and Los Angeles, they should be made to fend for themselves. And the people that actually comply with what's on the law and federal books, then I think that those are the ones that should get the resources that ultimately was allocated for them. People that want the police, they should get it. People that don't want the police, that don't want to abide by the law, we shouldn't use our American taxpayer dollars in order to take care of them. That's just my solution. I think that that's a phenomenal solution. What do y'all think? Y'all let me know inside of the chat what y'all think. Christopher Mayberry says, El Paso is one of the safest cities in America. New Movement says what? New Movement, the verdict in the Lake and Riley trial is guilty. I'm sure that lead attorney is going to cover that. Phoenix Blake, what up, Phoenix? Says, America's our home. It's not okay to welcome people who broke into your home. A real Leo says, what up, family? Breaking news, Putin is ready to discuss the ceasefire with Trump and freezing the war, but it won't give up territories according to Reuters. We're going to cover that tomorrow. We're going to get to that. One thing at a time, we got to confirm that things is right, and we got to make sure that we get the right sources. I was thinking the same thing when I saw dude climbing the wall, Anton, like, what if they just cut the power on and dude just went flying like a cat? He would deserve it. Give California to Canada. They can have him, or Mexico. Jerry says Trump wants to run on the problem instead of solving a solution, but wants to run on the problem instead of solving a problem. But I prosecuted transnational gangs. Yep, that's exactly what she said. That's exactly word for word. Marcella, what up, Marcella? Everybody who voted for sanctuary city laws to pass in my state should house these migrants since they want to help them so bad. Eric Wells says, AD, you know California is not part of the United States of the Americas. The anchor babies got into politics and are advocating on behalf of their family members who aren't legal. And that's the danger. That is the danger because they then tie themselves to the Democratic Party. Recluse Gangster says, nah, AD, you're thinking too small. I'm thinking landmines. Nothing says strong security like Ose. If you want to keep them legs, then keep your fajita eating, Coca-Cola drinking there back over to that border. That's what Recluse Gangster said. David says, the current administration has been an utter poop show and the entire time. Flip-flop on the border all 4 years. It was evil intent. It was for their selfish agenda. Thank you to everybody that continues to hold us down, support the platform. And if you have not already, hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. If you've been here more than once, then make sure that you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. And make sure you tap into the Patreon. All right, get your tickets December 14th. See me in Detroit. It's going to be lit. Let's continue. Diddy. I got to give y'all an update on the diddler. It's been a long time since we actually talked about the diddler. Been a long time. That's because you just be hearing rumors and this person say this. and that person say that. So let's spend 10 minutes talking about the diddler and bringing y'all up to date on what's going on. Currently, his cell, ain't that crazy to even say? It's crazy to say that Diddy last year was getting the key to New York City, top of the world, releasing an album called Love. And now he's in a jail cell with an afro, getting raided, and the prosecutors are trying to take him down while also accusing him of contacting witnesses and trying to influence it through social media. Check it out.
New details this morning in the sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. Prosecutors now claiming that from behind bars, Combs has been trying to reach out to victims and possible witnesses. And ABC's Phil Lipoff is here now with this story. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Gio. Diddy's lawyers trying for a third time to get him out on bail, but this time the prosecution telling the judge about attempts they say the rap mogul made from behind bars to influence everyone from potential jury to alleged victims.
Who's the boss? Dudes is lost. Don't think cause I'm iced out, I'ma cool off.
This morning, prosecutors leveling new accusations against Sean Diddy Combs, saying he poses a serious risk of danger, even from behind bars as he awaits trial. In a court filing late Friday, prosecutors detailing the steps they say Combs is taking while locked up to reach out to prospective witnesses and influence public opinion to affect potential jurors.
The accusations within the prosecution's motion to deny bail are very serious and will be considered very heavily by the judge, because the judge is going to want to ensure that he is not influencing witnesses and or contacting anyone to influence a trial in any way.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges of racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution, and sex trafficking. He denies any wrongdoing. The government now asking a judge not to grant Combs' third request for bail, in which the music mogul offers a $50 million bail package, citing new evidence and changed circumstances.
Let me ask y'all a question in the chat before we continue over with this segment of the show. Do you believe, as they request bail for a third time, does anybody believe in the chat? I have my own thoughts, and I'm going to share them with you guys right now. But do you guys actually believe that he will eventually get bail? Do you believe that Diddy will eventually be able to make bail on a $50 million bail package? I, Anton from AntonDaniels.com, believe that Diddy eventually will get bail, and he will be on an electric monitor hanging out at one of his homes. I do believe that he's going to get bail. I believe that at some point, we got a mixed chat right now. I believe that at some point in 2025, that the diddler will be able to make bail. I do think that he's going to eventually be able to make bail before he go on his trial. I don't think that he's going to be sitting in a jail cell. I don't think that they're going to be able to hold him down. And at some point, he probably is going to cooperate with the federal authorities in order to make sure that he get these other people that the federal authority is looking for. I don't think that the feds is really looking for Diddy. I don't think that the feds care about Diddy as much as they care about the people that Diddy was involved with. I don't. I believe that they are looking for other things while at the same time trying to get a major victory. And with the fumbling of the YSL trial, I believe that he's going to make bail. I think he's going to get bail either late in this year or early next year before the trial starts. I think he's going home.
Swimming in women with their own recorded phone calls from jail. They say Combs asked family members to reach out to potential victims and witnesses, urging them to create narratives to influence a jury pool. Allegations that could land Combs in even more trouble.
Diddy's jail calls can be used at trial if they are able to support the prosecution's case in chief. They can also provide grounds for additional criminal charges to be filed against him.
All of this while a Hulu documentary is set to be released Monday.
His name is Shine. Kid is nice.
Called The Honorable Shine, about a young rapper who says he took the rap for a nightclub shooting involving
I've been
Combs
seeing Shine everywhere. He's been on every single podcast. I haven't reached out to interview him, but I've been seeing him on every single podcast.
Girlfriend Jennifer Lopez.
Puffy got acquitted and he got 10 years.
He was betrayed.
I was absolutely set up to be the fall guy.
Moses Shine Levy Barrow, now running for president of Belize, says he was betrayed by Combs.
So that documentary is out tomorrow on Hulu. Lawyers for Combs say he categorically denies Mr. Barrow's allegations and that these claims are unequivocally false. Combs, by the way, has that bail hearing coming up on Friday. We reached out to his legal team about these new accusations from prosecutors, and we have not heard back.
So I'll be on top of it to see whether or not he makes bail or not. In the meantime, they are saying that they destroyed, the judge is requesting that the prosecution destroy the notes that they was able to obtain from raiding his jail cell.
Sean Diddy Combs, the judge in his sex trafficking case, ordered prosecutors to destroy several pages of handwritten notes obtained in a raid at the detention center where Combs is being held. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is here with the details. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, George. When federal prosecutors accused Sean Combs of witness tampering and trying to influence potential jurors, they cited potentially powerful evidence that the defense argues they never should have seen. And now the judge says, at least for now, that evidence cannot be used.
If you use my approach, you can dock both.
This morning, a legal victory for embattled rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs as he fights federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges. The judge ordering prosecutors to destroy their copy of 19 pages of Combs's handwritten notes obtained in a recent jailhouse search. Combs flashed a big smile as he entered court Tuesday, grinning and hugging his lawyers, and for the first time, the judge allowing him to appear without shackles around his ankles. Diddy's lawyers argued his jailhouse notes are protected by attorney-client privilege. Prosecutors said the notes suggest Combs was paying off a potential witness, his former Diddy Dirty Money bandmate, Kalena Harper. Harper had been mentioned in a civil lawsuit by bandmate Don Richard, but prosecutors said after at least 128 phone calls and text messages with Combs, Harper posted on Instagram that Richard's account should not be interpreted as a universal truth. Combs, of course, has pleaded not guilty to criminal charges, and prosecutors said this alleged witness tampering is reason to keep Combs locked up. But the judge said he would now not even consider the notes when he decides whether to release Combs on bail. Bail hearing, guys, coming up on Friday.
I think he's going home. I think he's going home. Who want to bet? Who want to bet? They got betting sites on this. They got betting sites on whether or not Diddy is going home. I think he's going home. I believe that Diddy is eventually going to get out of jail. The prosecution is going to fumble this. The one thing that I am wondering, though, in this whole situation, as they raid his jail cell and stuff like that, because it's a lot of people that was predicted that he was not even going to make it inside of jail, but that it was going to be another situation that's similar to Epstein. But the one thing that I'm wondering is Diddy's money that long? Because it's one thing to say that you're a billionaire, right? And I'm not one to pocket watch, but I think that it's important to take that into consideration when you're talking about being able to fund your defense. Is Diddy's money that long? Like liquid $250 million long? Because I don't know. I've never heard of anybody that's that liquid. I haven't, because I know, I mean, you know, you can use assets as collateral. You can use your homes. Your net worth is largely made up of everything that you have that ultimately has value, and then it's minus your debts, right? So a lot of people say that, oh, you're a billionaire or this and that and this and that and so on and so forth. Being a billionaire does not mean that you're necessarily a cash money billionaire. It means that your total assets would total your net worth, and that's what would make you a billionaire. And so I'm wondering what his asset class look like, and if he really is his money that long? Is his money that? No way he's liquid $400 million. Hell no, because that's a fool. Anybody that's sitting on $400 million in cash is a fool. That's a fool. Ain't no way in the world that nobody is that dumb and that you wouldn't have financial advisors or somebody that's smart around you to say, man, you sitting here on $400 million. You know how much money you can make in interest off $400 million alone per year? No way. No way. No way, no how that you're ever going to sit here and tell me that anybody has 400, or Diddy in particular, has 400 million in cash. That's crazy. That would be the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. If you got $400 million sitting in several different regular checking accounts, you a fool, and I'm going to call you a fool to your face. But I'm wondering, is his money that long? Is his money that long? Y'all think that his money is that long? Y'all think that Diddy got money sitting offshore, that he was able to put himself in a good position before they raided him? I would think that he was able to be a little bit smarter about moving assets around before he got arrested. But neither here nor there. I know that Russell Simmons ain't coming back on American soil. I know that much, and I'm wondering, I don't think that, listen, this is two things, and then we're going to move over into the next thing because I want to get to the money. I don't think that he's going to be held in prison or in jail. I think that he's coming home. And I guess the real question that we have to ask ourselves is, do you think Diddy is going to beat this case? And I want to have that conversation early because I don't want y'all coming back later and saying, no, I told you so. No, I was the one that said it in the chat. Do you think Diddy, and I'll give y'all my answer by the end of the week, do you think Diddy has a chance at beating this case? We didn't think that it was possible for Young Thug to beat the case that he beat, but he home right now. He home right now. I believe that Diddy is going home, and then we'll have a discussion about whether or not y'all think he's going to beat the case. But y'all let me know inside of the chat, and then we're going to go from there. Let me read a couple of super chats, and then we're going to go over to the next part of the show, all right? Vaughn, what up, Vaughn? Vaughn says, the best show ever, AD. Have you seen the vid about the YouTuber that says her husband raped her daughters? My daughters are almost that age, AD. All I'm saying is that he wouldn't be breathing. Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. I did a review video that released last night on the Anton Daniels channel, and then we talked about it on After Hours yesterday. Yep, if y'all not subscribed to all of the channels and all of the platforms, I did see it. I think that her name was like Isis or Trophy Wife or something like that. Jerry says Diddy's power and blackmail is worth more than millions. Florida Panoramic says he's coming home and will be bigger star. I think he's going to get out the way. I think he's getting out the way. BZE says, AD, I've been at Best Buy warehouse for 4 years, capped at $21 or $22 an hour. I've paid off debt, saved $5,000, but the 1 to 10 p.m. shift takes all my time. Should I stay and save more or plan my exit? Advice. Listen. If you work in a 1 to 10 p.m. shift, that's your time to get rich, big dog. Well, Anton, how is it his time to get rich? Because that means that you should be spending the 8 to 12:30 p.m. time frame actually going to school and getting to the bag. That means 1 to 10 p.m. means that you don't have no distractions. 1 to 10 p.m. When I really wanted to focus, when I was inside of the plant, I worked afternoons and midnights. That way, it was no way for me to be able to get in trouble. The only time that I had was to sleep and then to go and take care of business in the daytime. And then I would work afternoons and midnights, and we would do a double. And that way, I stayed out of trouble. I wasn't in the mix like everybody else. I wasn't getting caught up. I wasn't tricking off my bread. I was spending all of my money on hanging out. I was spending a lot of money hanging out, but I was putting up at least 25% of everything that I said. So 1 to 10 p.m. means no trouble. You ain't even, by the time you get off of work, you ain't even got nothing to spend no money on. But the beginning of the day, you should be going to school and making sure that you do both. So it's not about staying at Best Buy. You should be planning your exit by leveraging the fact that you have the time frame in the morning to go back to school and to run up a bag and get educated and go into cybersecurity or go into cloud engineering and also ultimately be getting into the position to where you can level up and then you can get out of Best Buy that way also. If you got free mornings, man, you should be in class, big dog. Go and get your bag. Mika! Good morning, AD. Diddy has 2 new cases involving minors. I ain't seen that. You got to send that to me. Y'all got to send that to me. Trucking Channel. Warren Buffett has $325 billion in cash. AD, no, Warren Buffett does not have $325 billion in cash. Berkshire Hathaway has liquidated their positions in certain things, and they're moving into other positions. So it's not Warren Buffett per se. It is not Warren Buffett. It is the holding company for Berkshire Hathaway, which is a publicly traded company. Now, got to get the terms right. The terms matter, and they are moving into other positions. They just liquidated out of other positions in order to move into other things. I watched the video saying there are private investigators going to different influencers' addresses, asking if they're being paid to talk about Diddy. They were also looking for a YouTuber in Detroit. Well, they certainly ain't hit me up. Talk to Time Dog. Make an offer. make an offer. Good sir, much too much. Is it possible for me to sign my 15 and 17-year-olds to your program, seeing I'm always on the run? I think that y'all should sign up for the Patreon and y'all should share it with your 15 and 17-year-olds. But here's the key about young people. You can't force them. They got to find it and they got to be interested in it for themselves. You can't force them. They got to find it and be interested in it for themselves. Otherwise, they're not actually going to take to it. But yes, I think that you should share your account with them in order for them to be able to tap into the Patreon too. Cuddy. I remember you, Cuddy. You was on American Presidents. You was making her feel good while he was at war. You was taking care of his girl. Now don't make me cut you. Did you hear about NYC buying Dame's share of the rock for $1 million? Yes, I do. I did hear about it. And I meant to talk about that last night, but we had so much other stuff to talk about. Dame should have taken Jay's offer. Yeah, Dame is he in a weird space right now. LaFleur says miracles can happen. It happened to Thugger. It's possible it can happen to Diddy too. I don't think that it's a miracle. I think that his lawyer was on top of it and he worked it. If I was Diddy, I would add that lawyer to my case also. I want to talk about this because I've been paying attention to this guy and he's been on the internet a lot. He's a 35-year-old, and I think that I'm mentioning him, and I talked about him before. He's a 35-year-old executive, and he's now the CEO/president of Red Lobster. He's running Red Lobster, and he's supposed to be turning the whole business around. And so recently, I believe it was the Wall Street Journal that did a whole thing with him. Yeah, and he was talking about his strategy in order to turn Red Lobster around, similar to the way that they turned P.F. Chang around. I wanted to review this. I haven't watched it, but I wanted to review this and check it out.
This can be the greatest comeback in the history of the restaurant industry.
This is Damola Adamolican,
Let's do it.
Red Lobster's new CEO. After decades of declining sales and a promotion that was a little too popular,
Ultimate Endless Shrimp is here with a limited time flavor drop.
the 35-year-old was hired by private equity firm Fortress to lead Red Lobster out of
bankruptcy,
more than $1 billion in debt, a serious financial pinch,
and back to profitability. It's worked before. He revitalized P.F. Chang's during COVID. Fortress hopes he can do the same for America's oldest seafood chain. I spoke to the new CEO at a Red Lobster in Orlando to learn what it will take to save the chain from sinking. So I actually had dinner here last night.
Oh, did you?
And I have to say one of the things I first noticed was the banner outside, basically like, we're open. America, we are open. Are you doing that throughout your fleet of restaurants, basically to kind of get past the bankruptcy?
That was done before I took over. The signs are still there. You're correct. I think at some point you want to address the elephant in the room, but you want to do it in a way that better reminds people of why they want to come to you in the first place.
The elephant in the room is Red Lobster's bankruptcy. When Red Lobster filed, it was over $1 billion in debt and had to close over 100 stores in 2024. Now with $70 million from Fortress, Adamolican has a lot to do. What's your to-do list look like?
Well, number one was to build the executive team. To run a great business, you need great leaders.
Over the past few years, Red Lobster has cycled through multiple CEOs. I asked an expert in casual dining why that's such a problem.
When your leadership consistently changes over and over again, it's very hard to get strategic direction. What ends up happening is that you get a sort of a confused message to the restaurant managers at the unit level.
Adamolican hopes that he'll convey a clear message to restaurants with an important change, a new menu.
What is this guy's background and where did he come from? How did he get to the point to where he was able to even be ahead of turning around P.F. Chang's and then ultimately taking over Red Lobster? I believe that networking is important. I don't believe that resume is as important. But if he's able to turn around Red Lobster right after he turned around P.F. Chang's, he'll be able to write his own ticket. This dude will be a billionaire in no time. If he's able to turn around Red Lobster and get people back into the door and make them profitable, while also guiding them through bankruptcy, he 100% will forever be able to write his own ticket. He will at some point in his lifetime become a billionaire and probably will be heading up some network company or some venture capital fund, or he will be like, get all kind of equity in order to go in and turn around businesses and stuff like that. One of the hardest businesses to run and turn around is the restaurant business, because not only are you dealing with the issues from public perception, but perception in the restaurant industry is everything. And so you have to change people's minds to what they think is value And if they don't value it, if you're not doing a mind shift change while also giving them the better experience, it's very difficult to do. And at $70 million, he got a task on his hands.
We're diving into the nuts and bolts.
Sure.
Tell me, what is your favorite thing to order?
You know, I would have said the snow crab, but I tried that Verdi crab recently, which is a variation on the snow crab, and that is my new favorite, I'll say.
He says that other favorites aren't prominently displayed on the menu. And best-selling items like Create Your Own Ultimate Feast are buried on page 3.
If you were to say, where's the value in this menu, you have to hunt for it. So there's things you can do both in terms of reducing the number of items, but also just the layout, right? The aesthetics, the photography.
Adam Mulliken says that for the new menu to work, it needs a new environment. Old Red Lobsters like this one feature dark interiors, aging decor, and separated bar areas. How ambitious do you think that brand refresh could be?
So it's going to come in stages. The first stage is things that should have been fixed a long time ago that weren't, whether it's roofing or tiling or HVAC units or kitchen equipment or furniture. As a next step, you'll think about how do you inject energy into the restaurant, but I want to start with a very low cost way to do that. For example, it doesn't cost anything to change the music. Dimming lights, it has no cost to it. And then the third stage would be a complete remodel. We remodeled the entire fleet at P.F. Chang's.
The Red Lobster I visited in Orlando is
He
one
know
of...
his stuff. He know his stuff. You could tell that he know his stuff because he's not using talking points. He's just using things that he already know works in business acumen. And he's saying that, hey, first thing we got to do is we got to, deal with the low-hanging fruit. We have to make capital investments in the infrastructure in order to make sure that these restaurants can run, right? You got to update the HVAC. You got to deal with all of that type of stuff, roof, lights, all of that. So that's the fundamentals. Then you got to, tap into the low-hanging fruit. You can dim the lights, you can change the music, you can create a better ambiance at a very low cost. And then he's saying that the last and the final phase is to make sure that they continue to update everything and make it a more modern restaurant. He's absolutely right. I like this guy.
3 updated restaurants, and it's going to act as a jumping off point for future designs.
I think it can be powerful, but I don't think it's enough. I think if you're just doing that, you're sort of putting lipstick on a pig in a way, and you're not really addressing a lot of the core issues.
Any sense of how much that might cost?
Well, when I did it at P.F. Chang's, it cost us about between $300,000 and $400,000 per restaurant. Now, it lifted sales between 5% and 10% in our restaurants that we did the remodels in.
That's significant. But Red Lobster isn't just facing challenges inside its restaurants. Bankruptcies from Red Lobster and chains like TGI Fridays, Rubio's Coastal Grill, and Tijuana Flats mean that dining.
I like Fridays. I know it's a lot of people
is on track to
that always give Fridays flack and stuff like that. I like Fridays, TGI Fridays. I don't know if they still got the Jack Daniels strips and stuff like that, but I used to like the Jack Daniels strips. I think that they renamed it because they can't use that same name, but they got the same sauce. I loved Fridays. Actually, I think I might get some TGI Fridays today.
Highest level of bankruptcies in decades, besides 2020.
Coming out of the pandemic, casual dining exploded. It was doing really well. And it's really come back to earth. And probably since about mid-2022, we've started to see traffic that has really declined on a year-over-year basis.
It's not an easy environment right now. You're coming in at a tough time.
It's a challenged industry, right? But I took over P.F. Chang's during COVID. I'm used to entering at a tough time.
Part of the reason these times are tough are because of shrimp, the centerpiece of one of the restaurant's most popular specials.
Enjoy it all, because Red Lobster's one and only endless shrimp is now.
Never mind.
How much do you think commodity costs, kind of looking back again, could have played into some of Red Lobster's troubles, particularly when you're giving away all the shrimp?
When food costs are high, your cost of goods gets out of whack. And what that does to the rest of your restaurant margin, it really throws it off.
If a family of 4 comes in and they ordered lobster, which is a premium product, but that's what they come to us for, can you have, affordable pastas and salads and bowls to round out the table?
Rising prices mean that workers' wages have to increase to keep pace with the cost of goods.
It's difficult because it's very localized. Even within the same city, you'll have different segments of the city where wages are totally different. So you need to be watching it constantly.
Prior to the bankruptcy, some restaurants that didn't have a hostess or a bartender. What was the staffing situation when you got here?
Decisions were made that at certain volume levels, there wouldn't be a dedicated host. So as you come in as a guest, you come in and there's no host, that can be a very negative start to your dining experience.
He says he wants to change that, which experts say is not easy to do while keeping prices low.
The average restaurant worker wage is up 30%, and that's driven those menu prices up, which is, also, just caused a lot of the other inflation that's been happening there. The wage situation, the benefits, all of those things that go into creating a satisfying.
I hate when people say stuff like he speaks white. No, he speaks proper English. I don't know what speaking white means. That is a very weird thing. Like, you just speak in your voice, your normal voice. You know how to speak proper English. You can communicate clearly, and then all of a sudden that says speaking white. It's like black culture has created such a negative connotation on doing the right thing that you gotta be like that, huh? In order to be able to resonate with the people, you gotta speak like this. Yes. Or you can speak like this and still have a regular voice. And that's not code switching. That's just you speaking proper English. I don't understand the whole speaking white thing. It's so weird to me.
Satisfied worker are extremely important as part of the turnaround process.
With casual dining, are some of its challenges demographic?
I think part of the challenge that casual dining has today is that it needs to figure out ways to be more relevant to the millennial consumer, to the Gen Z consumer. Younger consumers are a lot more accustomed to a counter service, order first, fast casual style environment.
I think there's always going to be a place for the connection that you can get between a server and a guest.
Okay, I'll get that started for you all.
People want that personalized service. They want to sit down, have a great meal in a great environment. This is a brand that's been around 56 years. 98% of Americans know Red Lobster. It's one of the strongest brands in the country.
Awareness is great, but if you're an aware non-user, you're still not going to the restaurant. And so the challenge...
That's because all of these little modern women out here is saying that, oh, you gonna take me to Red Lobster? Red Lobster used to be the spot. If you, listen, when I was coming up, before I was able to even have a job, like back in high school and stuff like that, and stuff like, whatever, middle school, because my older brothers are 6 and 7 years older than me. When I was coming up, if you took a chick to Red Lobster, you was taking her to a nice restaurant. We've gotten so out of whack with this culture and flying in and flying out and making a chick great again, making women great again. Moaga, instead of MAGA is Moaga. And y'all think that y'all gotta go to Roof Chris. You don't even know how to pronounce nothing that's on the menu. You got to take her to this high-end restaurant, this steakhouse. Oh, no, girl, he got to take me to a steakhouse. Man, I'm taking you to Tiege at Fridays. I think that was the first restaurant that I went to with Rita. I think I took her to Fridays for her birthday. She was so happy. I said, ooh, this one might be a keeper. It's cheaper to keep her. I don't know. Anyways, I think that he's a great guy. If he's able to turn Red Lobster around, and he's able to do it similarly to how he did with P.F. Chang's, then I think that he definitely will be able to write his own ticket. But he's young and he's only 35 years old and he's doing incredibly well. So let me give him a round of applause. Shout out to the people that's doing it the right way and running up a bag. Let me read a couple of these super chats. All right, give me a second. Let me see something real quick. A.R. Smitty said, cheddar biscuits are back, baby. Dylan K.O., thank you for letting me know I was on mute. I appreciate you on Cash App. Marceau, is that what your name is? Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Devastator says, Anton, they closed the TJ Fridays in Novi years ago. But the one in Southfield is still open, baby. Yes, it is. And I do got a taste for TGI Fridays. You see how it's easy to market to you and stuff like that? Anyways, you guys have a night off. I do not stream on Wednesdays because it is a day for me to be able to get things together. I do have to get stuff removed out of here, and I need to go and talk to some contractors. But we will be back here tomorrow. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, make sure y'all get y'all Tiege Hanley, man. Y'all know what to do. And then get your tickets to come and see me in person. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest ever. The greatest audience ever. All right? Stay focused, stay fresh, and stay on top of things. Get your money, get your bag, and don't let nobody get in the way of your progress. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.